All right, I'd like to welcome everyone out tonight. Appreciate everyone coming. And we would like to start out with Pastor Tim Adams from Harvest Ministries Outreach Center in Wadesboro to do our invocation, and we sure appreciate you coming.
Honored to be here. Shall we bow our head? Our Holy Father, at this Thanksgiving time, we are blessed that we've made it thus far. Would you please, Lord, fill us with your grace, and as these wonderful people make decisions that affect our county here and just in every area of our lives, would you please touch them to see things from your point of view, as Solomon said, with wisdom, we pray. Grant them each one. And Father, I'll pray these things in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the sweet Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, and everyone said amen.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you all.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Amen.
All right, as always in the beginning of the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and read the ethics statement. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in that particular matter. Does any commissioners have a conflict tonight? If not, thank you. Next, I'd like to ask for the approval of the agenda by the commissioners. And at this time, if I could ask, before we approve that, could we add Representative Birdie to the presentation section as item 2B, to add that as an addition to the agenda before we make that motion? So with that addition, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman, we'll do.
Motion made by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Cottle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, hold on, Mr.
And it doesn't necessarily have to, but there was discussion at the Acts Advisory Council meeting on, let's see.
On the
yesterday,
consent agenda.
that the reclassification be pulled out and put under administrative.
We're going to do that when we do the consent agenda, if that's okay.
It's fine. I just know there was some changes from what's in our packet.
Yes, sir.
Meeting we had yesterday, but if all that still fits under the consent agenda, I'm fine.
No, we were going to take it out, but when we make a motion on the consent agenda, I was going to remove B from there and place it in administrative matters.
I thought we'd do that when okay.
But that's fine if Mr. Woodburn wants to do that. In the consent agenda, if we're going to approve that as part of the agenda now, we were going to take the Acts 2B section or 3B section out, and like Mr. Woodburn said, put that in administrative matters to discuss there. So, with those two changes, then now that we've had the discussion, we'd like to start over with the motion.
They can just amend the motion.
Amend the motion. Okay, amended by Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Cottle. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so now if we could have Commissioner Little Reed, or is your guest here tonight?
He's not here.
Okay. Yes, we could table item 2A till another time. And then now for presentation 2B with Representative Birdie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the council, and distinguished manager and attorney and Madam Clerk. Just for as you keep record, I'm Mark Brody, State Representative for Union and Anson counties. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Chair, if it'd be permissible, if I could pass out just a budget highlights, or if you wouldn't mind just passing them down. The intent was to do a couple things, if time permits and anybody has any questions, to just review some of the things in the budget that would directly or indirectly affect Anson County. I want to just show you, this is, this is the budget. Please ask, though, if you ask me questions, I did not memorize it. But I'll come close to whatever we can accomplish there. Also, at the end, or whenever it's feasible, I want to go through the specific Anson County things, and as I had let the chair know, that I do have, what we have is our check. You ever see one of those, the big checks?
Sure.
I did make one of those out, and I will, show you, the county, Anson County in particular. Am I under timeline?
No, sir.
Okay, and not that I'm gonna take long, I just don't wanna take too long.
Okay.
As I go through the budget, it was the largest budget North Carolina ever put together, and even though it was that, we ended up with a surplus again. And the surplus was quite large. We in turn did a number of things within the budget to distribute that surplus. The only thing that we kept for ourselves basically is to add more money to what's called our rainy day fund. And right now, North Carolina is sitting on about $5 billion in reserve for rainy day. Rainy day meaning, the double hurricane that comes along with the fires in the east, west, and the hurricanes one after another on the east. And in conjunction with that, I wanted to let you know that our outstanding public debt is now $3.5 billion. We theoretically have enough money in our budget, in our reserves, to pay off our debt. If that would happen, it's one of the things that I'm trying to promote next year. If that would happen, we would be the first state ever in the union to ever pay off our debt without having to sell assets to pay off our debt. So to me, it's an accomplishment. And just so you know, pay off debt means that all the money we spend on interest can go back into whatever we want to do in that, throughout the state. So just a couple things that might, I say, will indirectly, it will directly affect Anson County, but it's grouped in with other areas. Right on page 1 here, $4 million for teacher salary supplement. And that, once again, we approved the supplement so we can get, Anson County can get real close to Union and Mecklenburg. Those of you who know those places like to try to steal teachers from every place by offering the extra supplement. So hopefully that'll help. And I think Anson's around $5,000, I believe somewhere in that area was $5,000. If you have a lot of retired state employees, we have 4% cost of living bonus. Tax relief, we did do it again. Will by 2026, which isn't that far away, we will have dropped down to 3.99% on taxes. And those of you who remember, when the first day I ever appeared in front of Anson County, we're at 7.5%, 7.75%, some. So we've made significant reductions in that, but at the same time creating surplus. So it's quite a interesting phenomena. The bottom of that first page was $709 million for school construction. That is, I've talked to the school superintendent. I keep contact with him also, and Anson County is eligible. Now they have to apply, but they're eligible to get additional money for the middle school that they have. The state has increased the maximum to $52 million for a middle school, and those things keep on going up in price. But that's possible. I don't know. Once I heard that they signed the contract, I don't know if they're still eligible, but just want to let you know. And $9 million to cover school lunch programs. Just to give you an update, in COVID, the federal government initiated the school lunch program supplements, so a lot more kids were eligible for the low, what do you call it, the full or partial supplement for lunches. And so now North Carolina, because COVID's done, that ended. So what we did is we picked up the tab, we continued it. So that was one of the things we did. You got to have a community college here. It was $25 million to increase financial aid to the community colleges. As I saw my friend Ms. Jackson here, and this $400 million to expand behavioral mental health programs. That's been a very top priority in the General Assembly, and we know that the public has been demanding that also. So we've allocated a lot of money to that particular area. And in addition, $80 million for new mobile crisis teams and facilities. I don't know how the Anson County group has participated in that. I always get a yearly update, but I know that they do have those programs, so this may help. And $12 million for food banks across the state. I know there are several in Anson County. The biggest one, $2 billion for over 200 local water and sewer infrastructure projects. That is one of them that Anson County is participating in. And I understand you've got a new magistrate in the budget that was definitely needed. And then lastly, and this is one out of curiosity for me, we have $300 million for 38 airports for improvements. I know we talked about it, but I don't know if we ever got in there on that one. But
you will sometime for this next budget year.
okay, well, I know we talked about some of the things, and with a lot of the infrastructure money, most people think infrastructure is just roads and bridges. It's not. Well, I mean, it is, but it's also airports and ports and rail lines and a lot of other things that, including utilities and things like that. So, Mr. Chair, if I can get right down to the end, zoom to the end, I have my my check here.
Right.
I want to explain it first. You mind if I step away? Will they
What-
still pick up the voice on? Okay.
Talk a little louder.
These things are so cool. I like these. It's
Representative
yeah.
Burke, we have the camera right there so the people at home can see.
Okay,
If
I'll-
you'd like to turn
Scott,
that
do you
around.
want to get one
this
side
way
of
first,
Glad
and
to
then
help
then I'll spin around. But it's $11,150,000 this year for Anson County.
Sure.
And I'll explain that.
Absolutely.
$10 million of it went to the sewer and water line that will connect Marshville, Eastern Union County to Anson County. So Anson County, and I think it'll benefit Anson County because now Eastern Union County will be a customer of Anson County sewer and water. And with the delay in the improvements for what we call 12 Mile Creek, which is the Union County key one, that means the growth in the area in western part of Union County just about already stopped. And for the most part, it has almost stopped. The next growth area is going to be Eastern Union County and Western Anson County. Be ready for it. It's going to come, and however you deal with that, I know you've made Anson County. I've always thought is in a great spot to organize growth, and they can set it up the way they want it, still take advantage of the growth, but at the same time enjoy the natural beauty of Anson County as you get whatever space that is outside of the corridors. The corridor is 74, maybe 52. But so you have the best of both worlds, and I think eventually a lot of people are going to catch on and say this may be the place to get. And also the expansion of the bypass. Now that's basically a line on a map now, but the line on a map is getting a lot more attention. So it may, if, for example, Anson County would get a major project, that may accelerate that up to start that also. So, explain this here. I said $10 million for the sewer and water line. They're, by the way, I think I gave up the pack and it ended up with my note sheet at the end of it. Did they see that?
On the floor.
Maybe behind you.
Oh, no, I left it here. Once again, I make it a priority every year to help the volunteer fire departments, and then once again, it's $50,000 to each of the volunteer fire departments. But this year I included the rescue, and it wasn't that I missed it, I just didn't think of it, no one brought it to my attention before. It's not that I didn't like those folks, it just didn't come up to the level, but this last year they mentioned it. So that's on there, and it also makes them eligible now for, they want the matching funds to get the additional grants that are offered by the state for the volunteer fire departments. Town of Wadesboro, I know they have their own council, but we put $300,000 for their water park. They wanted to have this water park for the longest time, and so we've asked for $250,000, and I put in for $300,000. You know how that goes. Put in for $3. Hopefully you'll get 2.5.
Sure.
Well, I got all 3. So that's okay. So they will. I informed them of it, and they said they have enough now to do it. And then I put in $400,000 for Hope Pregnancy Resource Center in Anson County, and there too I had talked with Commissioner Cottle, and his wife in particular is involved in it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna put in $400,000 and see, be fortunate if you get 10. Well, you got all 400,000. So I think that's an issue that's real important in Anson County, and hopefully this will help. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, I rest, and will, at your discretion, take any questions, or otherwise I'll sit down.
Does the board have any questions?
Thank you.
I personally want to say thank you for what you do for Anson County. We appreciate all the support you give us from legislation.
I like it out here. And, you know,
Yeah.
if I didn't live right next door to my grandkids, we'd be moving out here. So yeah, you all know that, right? You gotta forgive me for that. Yeah.
And I definitely want to say thanks as well, and you've been great to work with, and you sure been helping Anson County. We sure appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll repeat it. I appreciate everything you've done, because that water and sewer money particularly is going to go to good work, and we've got items later in this agenda to up the amount of water and sewer service we provide to Marshville and Eastern Union County.
Yeah, that's I think, my opinion, that's gonna benefit not only Anson County, it's gonna benefit Union County and create a whole dynamic that this part of that west of Anson and Eastern Union has never seen before, because Marshall in particular has been, since I've been here, has had zero growth. Zero growth. It's not they don't want to, it's they lack sewer and water, or they actually lack sewer. They had the water. Yeah. So, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here, and I'm going to stay till the end.
All right.
See what you guys got going on.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
Yeah, good. Stay. We got something else coming up.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, and right now we are at the consent agenda, and just as Commissioner Woodburn said and Commissioner Gatewood, well, we've relocated the acts reclassification to the administrative matters. So taking that out, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item B?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion approved by Commissioner Woodburn, second by Commissioner Cottle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes for the consent agenda. Then, right now, for our public appearances to the board, let me just read the quick statement that I always read. Each citizen shall be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. Commissioners are expected not to comment on matters brought to the board during this time, but to delay action or comment until staff has had an opportunity to research the subject matter and to report necessary and relevant information to all members of the board. So at this time, Ms. Jackson, would you please come?
Good evening, Commissioner Bricken, to all of the board.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioner Bricken, to the Board of County Commissioners. I am just here to provide information. Want to make sure that the Board of Commissioners are aware that we are approaching December 1st, which is kickoff for the Low Income Energy Assistance Program. And in 2023, it will also be the kickoff for Medicaid expansion for the state of North Carolina. We are anticipating a major influx of customers, applications for both programs to be received in person, by the telephone, and electronically. We will be reaching out to all community organizations to see if they can make their computer labs available so that any customer that wants to apply for the LEAP program or for the Medicaid expansion program can do that without having to come into the office. In response to being available to the citizens and also trying to process these applications in a timely manner, for the first week of December, December the 4th through December the 8th, Anson County DSS will provide extended hours. Our hours will be 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. for staff and 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. for the citizens to allow them an opportunity to apply. For any December 1, we serve a target population of those that are 60 and older and receiving services through the Division of Aging and Adult Services. That 60 and older population that received benefits in December of 2022 and are also currently receiving food and nutrition services benefits will be automatically processed. If there are any changes, then we'll have to touch those applications, but they will be automatically processed. The low income energy program, there is a increase in income eligibility. So a lot of elderly that were not eligible in December 2022 will possibly be eligible in December of 2023. So we expect an increase there. Just kind of as a side note, want to mention that right now temperatures are mild, but if there is a sudden drop in temperatures, we currently do not have available heating assistance. The funds have not been allocated through the state for crisis intervention program, the regular heating program. We have been informed that there is a $55 million decrease in the funds that were available last year as compared to this year. So just want to make you aware of that as we approach December and the probability of temperatures decreasing. So that is all I have to share on today. Are there any questions?
Have your 5 positions been,
The Medicaid expansion positions? We have filled 2 of the 5 positions that we received, 2 of the 6. It was a income maintenance supervisor position has been filled, income maintenance caseworker lead position has been filled, and there were 4 IMC2 positions. So one of the IMC2 positions have been filled. We have been interviewing, and we are hopeful to have at least 2 additional persons in place by December 1st. They will not come in ready to do applications, unfortunately, but at least we will have warm bodies available.
I know you had a problem last week with the phones. Is there something that we can do to help?
We are, fortunately, the funds that were made available are available for providing any technical support that may be needed for the implementation. We are working with IT, and I think they came over when we had so they've been working with us to try to make sure that the system is available, that the phone system is available. With the extended hours, staff will be prioritizing Medicaid expansion. We are going to be adding additional staff to the queue. So where we currently have 2, the plan is to have at least a maximum of 4, and we'll kind of decide how we'll shift that once the calls start coming in. Because in the past, citizens haven't been able to make calls to do applications, and so with COVID and the allowing customers to do phone applications, it kind of ties up the lines.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. At this time, we would have that item from the consent agenda for the acts reclassification discussion in our administrative matters. If any of the commissioners would, when we talked about that for the acts reclassification.
I think basically the main thing was discussed was the amount of increase that was originally recommended.
The 15% from 8, right?
We're going to that. I think the recommended that the presented amount was, like you said, 8%. And the discussion at the advisory council meeting was due to the current salary and due to the amount of responsibilities and all the duties that were going to be picked up, it was recommended that the increase go from 8% to 15% based on the input at that discussion, and that board approved it, and now it's come to us for our approval. I think I've recapped it.
Yes, sir. And that's what I had in the notes from the meeting as well, that 8% to 15%?
Yes,
correct.
Okay, okay. At this time, does anyone like to entertain a motion to allow that increase?
I would make that motion, Mr.
I
Chair.
second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Woodburn, second by Commissioner Gatewood. All those in favor of going from, unless there's any discussion, all those in favor for the increase to be 15%, and in the notes it says the position is now at 31,000, and the person that's in it has been in there for many years. So I think it's appropriate at this time to, with no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay. I'm just looking at everybody. Okay, well, that motion passes then. I appreciate that. And next, we're going to go to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing, as I mentioned earlier when Representative Brody was presenting the large check, tonight you've got on your agenda 2 items that do involve Marshville, and one is for the water supply. And what essentially they're asking, it mirrors the previous contracts that we've had, and so right now our maximum that we supply to them on any given day is 1 million gallons a day. They've requested to double that to 2 million gallons a day. So that's on page 21 if you need to see it. Also, the first 3 million gallons would go at 2.198 per 1,000 gallons, as well as after that 3 million would be at 1.9988. And so I'd like to recommend that the board approve this because actually what it will do is at least replace to some degree that contract that we're losing it partially to Union County because that one goes away in January. But we're negotiating now with Union County so they can stay connected to us for emergency purchases and probably a de minimis amount of daily pull.
Okay, so at this time, and we do have an engineering company that's been overseeing our project, and of course Hazen and Sawyer has given you thumbs up on that as well, right?
Oh yes, I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with us agreeing to go from 1 million a day to 2 million a day.
Okay, and based on the engineering recommendation, and Mr. Sossaman as well, does we have a motion to proceed?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cottle, second by Commissioner Mims and Gatewood. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
And
All right.
The second item, if I may, is an interlocal sewer agreement between Anson County and the town of Marshville. And this sort of kind of mirrors, because now what they would like for us to do is provide them with 1 million gallons of flow per day. We know, and I say we, I've discussed it with their team, which includes town manager Frank Dees, and they understand that it's going to take them years to get there, but they just want to prepare for that future growth that Representative Brody mentioned a couple times during his address, and it's coming. I've known it in other places, and I guess essentially right now, Western Union County is tapped out relative to growth. They're not necessarily out of space, but then the resources from a water and sewer perspective, they depend on someone else to provide that. So we just happen to be in a great spot. We can't go to the west side because that would require an interbasin transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think we're okay by sticking with Eastern Union County.
Okay.
So I'd like to recommend the board approve this interlocal agreement and contract with Marshville for its sewer supply.
And one thing in the discussion, and thanks to Mr. Brody, a lot of that $6 million is going to be used for the lift station at Brown Creek and Lanes Creek, which are in between point A and point B. So that's part of this regional concept and what I think we're all thinking together. So so there is a lot of funding to help with that project. So at this time, would anyone like to make a motion to move forward with that project?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Cottle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, okay, motion passes. All right, that sounds
Mr.
good.
Chairman, if I may, you had asked me to look at, well, one other thing, which includes the audit situation.
Yes, sir.
I can do that now or later, but there is one other thing I need to add. This good news, I was teasing Commissioner Little Reed about it earlier. I said I had some more news, and I got that in today from North Carolina Department of Transportation. We've been awarded $150,000 to go toward the money we already have in our kitty at the airport to do taxiway improvements. So that's just a report to you. We'll have to sign all the paperwork when it comes in, but we got the letter of approval today.
Okay, that sounds good.
Great news.
And the one question of when do you anticipate the 2022 and 2023 audits to be complete?
Our Thompson Price, which are the two main names in our independent auditors, they have committed, pursuant to an email to us, of completing the 22 audit sometime in December of 23, and then right after the first of the year, when we hit 24, they'll start working on that 23 audit, and hopefully they'll get that done within the first 90 days. As you know, we'll finish up this fiscal year for 24 by June 30th. And supposedly we will have delivered through our independent auditors this audit for this year, and we'll be totally caught up. My goal is to have that one done no later than October 31 of 2024.
Okay, that sounds like good news. All right. Any other questions for the manager?
Well, just along the line of audits, I guess one question that goes along with that, because part of that, a big part of audits is bank reconciliations. And the information that was given to us at the School of Government class that I went to about 2 or 3 months ago is that you shouldn't be I'm asking now, you should be looking at last month's bank reconciliation. So where are we on that bank?
We're close to that goal, Commissioner Woodburn.
Okay.
The previous folks had gotten it behind, but we're rapidly catching up.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, that sounds good. So at this point, for my chairman's report, Anson County is going to have an electric vehicle charger ribbon cutting based on the fact that a new electric vehicle charger is officially open in Wadesboro. The new charging infrastructure was made possible through partnership with North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality and Central Carolina Clean Fuels Coalition. It's located at the Anson County Government Annex building. It's 575 Highway 52, which is the old PD Electric building. And the ribbon cutting will be on November 30th at 11 a.m. So that's a cool project there. I was also going to mention that with the methane project that's going on at the landfill, the company has established they've established an easement from point A to point B, which is the landfill to the transfer station on Route 52. And that easement's going to allow a 4-inch pipe to travel through that area to transport the gas from the landfill to the transfer station. And the reason why that's good news is if they weren't able to secure those easements, they would have had to take that methane out in tanker trucks, and we really weren't wanting to have all that extra truck traffic if we could help it. So that 4-inch line completion, the agreement and the easement, I found out last week, is in place. So that's really good news. The methane, once again, by taking that out of the landfill, is going to greatly reduce the emissions from the landfill, and it's also going to be a way to harvest domestic energy in what would seem like a really good way for us to move forward. So I was going to mention about that, and then I guess those were the main two things that I wanted to bring up. And then lastly, thanks to Miss Tanya being here, our AXE building is well underway. If anybody's ridden on Route 52 and saw a building coming out of nowhere, it's the fastest construction that I've ever seen, and it's tentatively scheduled to be done in the end of January. But I would think even if we were to get it done in February, we'd be making record time. So I appreciate the company that's doing the work, and I appreciate Miss Tanya for being on top of it. So,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Who's gonna be responsible for doing that pipeline for the gas?
They're going to have to bid that out. So right now they've got the easements approved, but they're going to have to bid out the work to get a company to come in, and that's going to be through Enerdyne, which is and Anson Gas are two different companies that are working with the landfill. So they'll be bidding out that project. It won't be us.
So we won't have to pay anything?
No, we don't have to pay anything for that. Private company, yeah. So the people that are going to be collecting the gas, the methane, are the ones that are going to pay to run that line. They're the ones that secured the easement. We don't really have to do anything with that. So that'll be good. But it'll be out for bid, and maybe local bidders can keep their eyes open for that job, because it'll be several miles running that pipe. So that ought to be a nice job for hopefully some of our local contractors.
I guess there's not any kind of expected completion date at this time. It's too early to tell.
No, I was just real happy when I found out that they got approval to run the whole way, because that's real important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can check on that though, and I'll get back. Yes, sir.
Will that control the smell?
It's supposed to reduce the emissions a lot. I mean, as far as the methane we talked about before, that creates a lot of the pressure that pushes a lot of the small little particles that you smell up into the air. Methane is lighter than air, so that methane carries the particles, and that's what causes the smell to travel. Methane itself doesn't have a smell, but it carries the particles that you do smell. And from everything that we've heard, by harvesting the methane, it reduces the pressure that causes all of those particulars to float, and it reduces the emission greatly. So I'm looking forward to that, as hopefully. And they also had to apply for an air quality permit through it's DEQ, which is Division of Environmental Quality, but they have their own Division of Air Quality branch within there. So they're going through the permitting process there. So it'll be regulated and controlled by the state, the whole operation. So
Where's the gas going? Where are they going to channel the gas to?
it'll go into the Piedmont gas line, and from what I understand, the station that it's going to transfer to, if you're going up Route 52, is just below the wildlife refuge, where you see on the right side of the road, if you're heading north, there's some pipes and there's a fence around it. So that's where the gas line will go, and it'll, as far as I know, it'll go into the Piedmont system, and then it'll be available for local domestic fuel, which I think is real important for us. Any more questions?
I got one, I guess, concern or comment. Where are we, I think last month or last meeting, we tabled the LKC project. Where are we at on that?
Well, we're at the point now where we have all the information, so if any of the commissioners would like to make a motion to proceed with that project or not to, there's really nothing else we're waiting for. We did get a response back from LKC. They came up with a way to save just a little bit of money, but it would have reduced the quality of the pipe to the point where, as just one vote, I would not recommend reducing the quality of the pipe, and it didn't really amount to a whole lot of money, but that was the only thing we were waiting. He was going to research that and see if the company would come back with a better price quote, and the only way they could do that was to reduce the quality, the thickness of the pipe, which I don't think anybody would want to go there for just a little bit of money that would save.
I have a question, because I want to hear that meeting. When we run the pipe, will they be finished with the building? Will they have people already ready to rent the building out? Or
Well,
is it just gonna sit
but
there?
the pipe is not specifically for the building. It's to get across the other side of that creek by Wade Mill. It's going to go 2,400 feet down Route 74. Now, the building is in line with it, and I'd like to think that once they have a sewer hookup, it's going to make the building a lot more marketable for business to come. But you've also got that 40-acre site on the other side of the road that was going to be the county extension office, and when that project kind of fell through, that opens up that for a potential business site too. So the 2,400-foot pipe will finish up across the street from that other side as well. So, and then anything along the way can hook up for future business. But as far as that building and that particular project, I would assume that having a shopping center in need of a sewer line, it's going to increase the potential for business to come there. But without it, from what I understand, restaurants and some of the businesses that may want to come wouldn't be eligible unless we had a sewer line going that way.
How long did they say it was gonna take to complete it?
They're talking about June, so approximately 6 months they would take from the time, if we were to give them the go-ahead, it'd take about 6 more months for that project to be finished from what Mr. Kiker said from LKC.
So Mr. Wallace will be through with the building by then?
No, this has nothing to do with Mr. Wallace. Mr. Kiker from LKC told us the 6 months is how long it would take to run the pipe if we approved the project to get the pipe to that location. But nothing of what I'm saying here has to do with Mr. Wallace. As a private citizen, if he can get businesses to come, that would be a great response to us running the sewer line. But the 6 months that I'm talking about have to do with what the engineer told us.
Yeah, that's to get the sewer line completed. It has nothing to do with any business along that corridor.
Yeah. The business is dependent on the sewer line, but whether they have any guarantees or not, they have to speak for themselves, because as the county, all we can speak for is to get that sewer line out based on what the engineer is the project that we're funding, if we agree to fund it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we've been working on this project for almost 2 years, and I think it behooves us to approve it tonight. So I'm prepared to make a motion that we award the contract to the lowest bidder, Columbus Utilities, located in Fair Bluff, North Carolina, and the total bid amount $890,145.
I second that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Woodburn. Do we have any discussion? And remember, a lot of this money came from COVID. This was that long ago when the funding was tentatively set aside. Is there any more discussion?
I think the only other thing I would offer is to Commissioner Little Reed's, and I got to get used to that, Little Reed, her question about tenants for that building. I think at the time, if we had run sewer in a timely manner, that could be, but at this point, I think that business owners basically have to start over recruiting people because of the amount of time that's gone by, I would think. And that's just me personally. I might be way off base.
Yeah, and there were several inquiries back when that building was being upgraded, but since then it's been sitting for almost 2 years. So anyway, is there any more discussion?
All in favor?
Call for the question.
I'm sorry. Okay, Commissioner Little, Reed?
Maybe I'm not understanding something, but if we're gonna run this line, it's for future businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna benefit the guy that owns, the Minimark, right? Am I right or wrong? I don't know.
Well, I hope it would benefit anybody that decides they want to hook up to it.
Okay, but the Minimark is the reason we, at one point, was trying to go ahead on and run the line. Is that correct? Or am I
Well, having a shopping center with no sewer line was one of the factors, just speaking for myself, that I thought it would be a good idea to supply a sewer line to a business. But it's the commercial corridor on 74 that without a sewer line is never going to amount to any type of industry or commercial ventures.
And I don't have a problem with the sewer line. What I'm saying is that I went over there and looked in the store and at Minimark, and the floors and the walls wasn't done. So if we haven't completed in 6 months, okay, I know you keep saying the sewer line, and it just sits there. I mean, how are we making any money off of it?
But on the building itself, until he knows what businesses are going to want to come, he doesn't want to finish the interior until he finds out exactly what wants to come, because it could be a certain type of wall, it could be a certain type of configuration. So he wouldn't. I'm not sure how the business person would be thinking, other than that normally when you have kind of a spec building, you wait to finish the interior when you find out who wants to move in, because it could need certain type of interior design that you want to wait, so you don't pigeonhole yourself in one particular business. So different things, like at one time an x-ray technician had wanted to come, so there may be something different in that wall that it would need than if you had a restaurant or a store. So I think the reason why business usually doesn't finish interiors in a spec position when you're waiting to see who comes is because you want to get feedback from them to determine how you want to go about it. So that's just what I would assume.
So is there a time limit that we're gonna give him to have somebody in the building after we put the sewer in? Or what if it just lingers there for a year or two and nothing happens? And they put nothing in it? I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just inquisitive, I wanna know.
Well, he's a private citizen, though. I don't know that we have any true authority to tell him he has to have a business in there within a certain amount of time. I mean, he's not on contract with us in this project.
It would be my opinion, just strictly my opinion, but as a private investor, if he's invested the money to fix the building up, he's not going to see it empty. He's going to want to put somebody in there and start collecting rent or lease or sell it, or so he's going to want to utilize it. So all we're doing is making an investment in the future of our county by promoting industrial growth, retail growth, restaurants, whatever we can promote. We're making that investment tonight. It's up to him to put what he wants in there, and a timeline to him.
I'm not trying to tell him what to put in, I was just wondering, was there a timeline for him to have some kind of business in there after we complete the line? That's all I was asking.
But I think in order to recoup, because he's put a lot of money in material and labor, in order to recoup the costs, I would just assume that any businessman would want to get the business in there as quickly as possible. And the one way we can look at it is, you can see without the sewer line that nothing has come. So we can only imagine that if we don't put the sewer line in, it'll continue to be the nothing that it is now. So we can't guarantee that something will come if we run a sewer line, but we can guarantee that it won't come if we don't, because they won't be capable of having a business there. So I just think in general we want to have a corridor for development, commercial and industrial, along 74, because that's our major highway. And then not just that Minimark, but if they do get some stores, then you've got more potential to hook up to that pipe in either direction, because the biggest thing is we're getting across that creek, and that creek is a big holdup because it takes a lot to run a sewer line to the Wade Mill manhole. Once we get across the creek and we get on flat ground, it'll be a lot easier in the future if somebody else wants to hook up to it, that they could run further, either across the road to the old site where the Ag Extension Office was, or they could go further down 74. And eventually it'd be nice if we had a sewer line from the Union County line to the Richmond County line, to accommodate business.
Well, Mr. Chairman, my motion still stands.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure everybody's done with the discussion. So the motion still stands, and at this time, unless there's any more discussion, all those in favor say aye, and I think maybe hold up our hands on this one.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Gatewood, Commissioner Mims, Commissioner Woodburn, Commissioner Caudle, and Commissioner Bricken vote in favor. All those opposed? And Commissioner Little Reed opposed, but the motion passes, and we move forward. Thank you. All right. So now we would go into commissioner concerns.
Mr. Chairman, I just got one thing's not a concern, it's just information that I'll provide now. As I've mentioned in the past, serving on the steering committee for Central Carolina Regional Council, and we're still working on the advancing the plan is to improve mobility between all the counties in the nine county region. And right now, we have what we've done, we've got a regionally coordinated approach. We've got a model that we're going to work from, which this will give each county their own autonomy, and we will have to determine how well and what we need to do to fit in. And we've actually got the key building blocks of that plan identified. And then the next thing that we're going to work on are the next steps for the committee, the Advancing the Plan Committee. After that, then we'll have some information to forward to each county. And actually, I'm going to have Ms. Cannon send this out to all of the commissioners and manager. And
Good.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioner concerns? So at this time, if there are no other concerns, we have a closed session to consult with our attorney. So at this time, do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Gatewood, second by Commissioner Caudle. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Little Reed. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. We're out of closed session. At this time, if there's nothing else,
we did that by consensus.
Yeah.
Oh, about it, Ms. Burr. Yeah, we did do that by consensus.
Okay.
Good to have.
Do we go back in?
No.
He's got to get his check. I was going to get it for him, but he's still out there.
No.
Well, I thought you know.
Oh, no.
Oh, did we?
Oh, we did. I don't know what we decided to do this time.
He's gonna make a motion.
I'm lost. Go ahead. Whatever.
I don't know.
Okay. At this time, are there any motions that any commissioners would like to make?
Well, I would like to make one regarding the health director, the interim health director, that we provide her with a $10,000 increase recommendation to the Board of Health and let them make the recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
A motion made by Commissioner Gatewood, and he's second by Commissioners Caudle and Woodburn. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that motion passes. So at this time, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all right. Motion to adjourn passes.
Die for lack of a second.